Hello, everybody. It's Victor with Cardiac Wire, and today we'll be talking to Dr. Ilya Karagodin from Endeavor Health about his clinical experiences with us2AI's AI-assisted echocardiography software and the research around that technology. With that, why don't you introduce yourself, Dr. Karagodin?
Thanks for having me, Victor. My name is Dr. Ilya Karagodin. I am a general and advanced imaging cardiologist at Endeavor Health here in the Chicagoland area. And I'm also the director of AI and advanced analytics here at Endeavor. I look forward to this conversation today.
Yeah, thank you so much for that introduction. I'm really glad you kind of framed it up with your AI expertise in mind. Just jumping right into it, I'm curious, what was the main motivation that encouraged you and your team to adopt AI-assisted echocardiography in your workflows?
Yeah, that's an important question. I would say we have the same issue that a lot of echo labs have across the country, which is that we have increasing volumes with insufficient staffing at times. So, this is a problem that most echo labs are trying to solve for. And so we were motivated to essentially adopt a tool that would help us offload some of our volumes and some of our both sonographer and physician burnout while helping to improve quality as well.
Yeah, I want to get a little bit more specific with that. So I know you ended up using the S2AI platform and you integrated that with your Siemens Syngo CVIS. Could you give us maybe a little bit more insight into how was the measurement accuracy and consistency, and what role did that integration play in embedding it in your existing workflows?
Sure. So in terms of the integrating with the Syngo Siemens platform, I think that was a key element of the project's success. So being able to work within your native environment and for all the AI measurements to go directly to the native environment via SR mapping is really key because you don't want to be clicking out into an external platform every time you're reading echoes. You want to be working within your sort of comfortable environment. And so that's really what we created here at Endeavor Health with the help of both us2AI as well as the engineers from Siemens Syngo. And so what we eventually ended up with is having the AI measurements mapped directly into our viewing platform, which allows us to have a seamless working experience without having to click out in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, so I'm glad you mentioned the research side and editorial side of things. I know that you and your colleagues published an editorial in the Journal of the American Society of Echocardiography last year on user perceptions of AI echo. Could you speak maybe to the key findings of that work, and what guidance would you offer to other institutions looking to drive successful adoptions of AI echo among both sonographers and clinicians?
I'm really glad you asked that because I think that editorial actually illustrated a couple of important points. So, even early on, I think our cardiologists and echo readers were very enthusiastic about the technology. They felt that it was accurate, it was helpful in their decision making, and most of them would reference the AI when reading the echoes. Sonographers, on the other hand, were more skeptical. And there's a number of reasons for that. Obviously, sonographers train for many years to get to where they are, and there's certainly perhaps a feeling that maybe their job security is in question, or that they're being replaced in some way, shape, or form. And so that skepticism was definitely apparent from the beginning. And so I think the idea of change management is very important, and really talking to and relating to your sonographers to really empower them to focus on what they do best, which is image acquisition, and allow the AI to perform a lot of the manual kind of laborious tasks that are less sort of appealing and that take up more time. And so, that editorial was very helpful in understanding how we can better create this change in our echo lab, and that we should be meeting with our sonographers on a regular basis to understand their perceptions and their feedback.
And it makes a lot of sense, and it's good that you guys kind of included the opinions of essentially everyone who's involved in the echo process. I'm glad you mentioned that time aspect of things because, of course, we've seen this as a trend in echocardiography in the US, which is that reporting backlog and turnaround time are kind of these persistent operational challenges across echo labs. So I'm kind of curious from your perspective, has the adoption of AI echo translated into meaningful time savings or workflow improvements for your team?
Absolutely. And this is probably the most exciting part of this whole initiative. So in recent months, we launched our sort of AI-based workflow where the sonographers essentially acquire minimal manual measurements and allow AI to do the bulk, 90+% of the measurements independently. And we compared the AI workflow to our standard manual workflow in terms of time. And what we found is that the AI workflow saves, on average, 10 and a half minutes per study for a total savings of about 33% per study, which was pretty remarkable. And, while 10 minutes or 10 and a half minutes may not seem like a lot for one study, when you add that up over actually thousands of echoes per year, you end up with pretty tremendous time savings, which can be allocated for other tasks, which can increase throughput through the echo lab, and which can help reduce staffing needs. So this was a very promising result that we hope to publish very soon.
Yeah, so going a little bit deeper on the time saving side of things, I know echocardiography is one of those things where the whole team has to buy in. And we've seen kind of concerns from sonographers in the past about how AI will impact their quality of life or their work. From your perspective, what did sonographers think of this technology and integrating it into the workflow?
Yeah, thanks for asking that question. So, as I mentioned earlier, early on, the sonographers were understandably skeptical of the AI technology. But when they had the chance to actually try out the AI workflow, which again entailed getting less manual measurements and letting the AI obtain most of the manual measurements, when surveyed, sonographers of all different skill levels stated that they felt like they were saving considerable time. So they actually felt that it was at least 5 minutes of time, when in fact it was about 10 on average. They felt that their click burden was significantly decreased. They noted that Ecolab efficiency was significantly improved. And perhaps most importantly, all of them voiced a preference to continue using the AI workflow moving forward. So this was very valuable information, and it's very important to have buy-in from all members of the Ecolab, sonographers being at the top of that list. And so to see them have such a favorable response to the AI workflow was really gratifying.
Yeah, that's very exciting. And time is one aspect of it, but another aspect of echo is that, especially in the cardiovascular side of things, there are a lot of conditions that are kind of underdiagnosed, right, in clinical practice. And one good example of that is cardiac amyloidosis. Um, I know that S2AI, with whom you've been working with, just got their regulatory approval for detecting that disease. But kind of maybe this can be a broader question for you. Given that S2AI carries disease detection indications across a range of conditions, do you believe that AI-assisted echo has the potential to meaningfully shift detection rates? And what would that actually look like for patient outcomes?
I do. I think this is really one of the most exciting aspects about AI in the Echo Lab is that we can detect patterns and phenotypes that we previously were unable to detect with the human eye. And as has been shown in recent literature, we're able to pick up on disease processes early in their development, even from single echo frames. So, for example, cardiac amyloid can be picked up from the four-chamber view, just based on various features of the echo that again are invisible to the human eye. And so, the ability to detect these disease processes early means that we can get these patients the testing and treatment that they need earlier in their disease process, which really translates to improved patient care over the long run. And really, can meaningfully, I think, move the needle in multiple different disease processes, with amyloid being a perfect example of that.
Could you go maybe a little bit deeper on exactly where in the process, having this AI detection for amyloid makes a big difference? I know obviously earlier detection you mentioned enables earlier treatment, but what does that maybe do for the patient? How do they feel about that in your experience?
Yeah, I think cardiac amyloidosis is one of those disease processes that can go for many, many years undetected. And oftentimes these patients can derive the most benefit in the early stages of the disease before heart failure develops. And so if you can detect cardiac amyloidosis early on from an echocardiogram, perhaps one that was ordered for a different indication, and then you refer that patient to the correct test, so perhaps a cardiac MRI or a nuclear PYP scan, and they get the diagnosis earlier, let's say, 3 to 5 years earlier than they would have otherwise, then they become eligible for more treatments. They can feel better. They can live a longer and more full life. And we can really help sort of change the trajectory of their disease earlier on. So it really has the potential to help a tremendous number of patients. And this kind of early detection, again, I think is one of the biggest advantages of AI and echocardiography.
Yeah, thank you for that more in-depth answer. Before we get going here, I want to give you the opportunity to maybe get one message out to your colleagues in the cardiology or the imaging space. What are your thoughts about all this?
Yeah, I think if I had one message to my colleagues, both cardiologists, sonographers, and anyone in the cardiology community, it's to embrace change and to embrace new workflows and new technologies, because change is coming, and it's coming whether we like it or not. And ultimately, the individuals who are able to adapt and embrace change are going to be ahead of the pack and ahead of the curve in terms of early diagnosis, in terms of echo lab efficiency, and in terms of overall throughput through their echo lab. And so, I would encourage everybody to embrace change, to try out AI in their echo lab, see what kind of benefits can be derived, and I think you'll be happy with the results.
Kind of a follow-up question here. When you're talking about integrating AI into your workflows, data is a big part of it. Could you tell us, did you have any data partnerships prior to this S2 AI integration that may have helped make this possible?
Yes, absolutely. So, here at Endeavor, we had previously worked with Viz AI for a number of other use cases, and we were able to leverage that relationship as well as the partnership between Viz AI and S2 AI to allow us to get the data pathway approved. And so, the partnership between us two and Viz allowed us to really seamlessly send the data in an anonymous fashion to us to AI, and then get it back in a way that was both acceptable and completely anonymized for our health system. And so that was a very helpful partnership, and I think it's important to leverage existing partners when trying to employ new technologies.
Well, Dr. Karagodin, thank you so much for this very insightful interview. It's always helpful, we talk a lot about these AI softwares and technologies, but it's always helpful to actually talk to the people who are using them and see how it impacts their day-to-day and their patients' day-to-day. With that, I've been Victor. This is Cardiac Wire. Thank you and goodbye.